So today's event is the second time when we organize, and this is basically for the academic year 22-23 graduates, either who have graduated or coming to be graduated. But we also have, for example, some of our colleagues who have worked with international affairs, career services. So you may see also those kind of familiar names even here online. For those who have graduated, it's a big time for congratulations. And for those who have that still heading and coming soon, I always say that take time to kind of award yourself, take time to pause when you actually graduate. That's a big thing. It's a big thing for us at the university. It's a big thing for us and the alumni team to see like, yes, we got a new graduated alumnus or alumni to our network of over 51,000 alumni. But most of all, we quite often forget to work on this to celebrate our success. There's just one picture about who have registered either here to online event, on-site event, or both of the events to this evening, and what kind of thoughts the participants have and you have on what interests you. What is the thing that you would like to do in the future or head to? So here you can see not so many actually feel that it's a kind of something unknown so far. It's interesting to see also that many are planning some sort of continuance of the studies. Even entrepreneurship is there, which is not always so obvious in this kind of university, which is not very technical or kind of not only technical orientation, but we have fields that, like from 11 faculties, which are all open, also those kind of skills. And then finding a job in Finland, that's something that especially I know my colleague Anna is pointing out always, and kind of seeing what are the numbers in that one. So quite many of you and your fellows are considering that, hey, finding a job in Finland would be great. And that is part of the work that we work on with the alumni team and our alumni network worldwide, like see how we can support the employability and the opportunities for our newly graduated students as well. So very nice and kind of participant, how would I say, versatility that we have. We actually have people from 11 countries and 8 faculties who are on some point of this evening taking part. So we hopefully will see quite many of you and your fellows also here in Helsinki still in the after event. This evening, now we're in the welcome words, sharing a bit of alumni work. Let's see when our Vice-Rector Kai Nordlund is able to get on online. And then we have Roberto who will inspire you regarding finding your own path. And then if you have registered for the after event, then that's the time. But what happens is that the Helsinki Alumni Network I mentioned, over 51,000 alumni, that is your network. That is our network, full of opportunities, but also we look for your ideas and inputs on what is interesting, what can we do. There are just a few examples here. I'm taking care of the leadership network with questions regarding leadership. My colleague is working on different kind of workshops where alumni support the skills development of other alumni. There are alumni days, different kind of benefits. We have mentoring opportunities. So actor or mentor, there are both opportunities for alumni as well. So young alumni especially, they might even want to have a mentor. And then again, we have loads of alumni who want to be mentors and have guidance and coaching, as Roberto has done for fellow alumni. So it's kind of a pot of opportunities that we have here. We are cooperating with many different actors inside university, for example, career services, Think Company, Una Europa, degree programs and faculties, but also outside. So it's important for us that we are working with those kind of Unisport and LUOMs who are linked to university, but also abroad with institutes, with embassies, For example, Fulbright Finland Foundation is an example in the USA that we work all the time and develop the opportunities for our alumni. One thing I want to point out, because we are in the international evening, we have active networks of alumni in different parts of the world, in USA, China, in different parts of Europe currently, in international clubs. And those are open for everybody. Those are open even for students. So even before graduation, it is possible to take part in the activities. And they are all the time looking for not only ideas, but also active alumni to take part in it. And it's very easy. You can always contact our team, myself, and say, hi, I'm interested. Please let me know what to do. Because that is very short input of few of our activities that our alumni have arranged, partly together with the university, partly by themselves, in different parts, in Brussels, in China, in Beijing, in New York. Great networks that can give you a lot. You will get this material afterwards, so that's why there are a few links for you. We don't go through them, but they are relevant links for alumni work and for you to have additional support for your future path. This is our team. Roberto is one of those active alumni we could add there on the background of the picture, actually, because we have a full potential of amazing alumni working with us. Maybe you are our next alumni who will be linked to our team and get even more out of being a Helsinki Alumni member. This is a video that you can see some familiar faces. I will not put it on because I want you to go back to the materials which I sent you after this event, and you check then the video. Because this is all about us being this way alive. That is the additional seasoning for you that we want to share. Thank you very much from my part. Now, Roberto, it's your turn.
Thanks a lot, Tina, and welcome everyone to this evening of celebration and reflection on your path towards a meaningful work. For some of you, it might be tomorrow. Some of you might be end of the year, but you will get into this path. And I thought to share some insights on what does meaningful work mean, and what does your path look like. I'll start by sharing a few words about myself. So I'm Italian. I moved to Finland in 2005 as an exchange student. And now here we are, some 18 years after, still in Finland, happy to be here. I got my degree from the University of Helsinki, Faculty of Arts. So Master of Arts is my title. I studied philology. And my subsequent studies brought me to coaching. So I'm also an European Mentoring Coaching Council accredited coach. I work with both business and career coaching. I have a day job at a company called WizTV Gaming. It's in between IT and gaming. It's a strange intersection of it, where I'm covering some part of the business. And I also have my part-time own company, Mind the Coach, through which I offer coaching and consulting. So I have my path with the Helsinki Alumni Network has been this following. I started being a passive reader of the newsletter. So you will notice that after your graduation, you will get an info package saying, hey, do you want to subscribe? And I did. And I was just, reading the emails, saying, oh, it's really interesting, but yeah, not for me. Until an event came up in my radar on the newsletter. It was an event for international students where there was a need for both people who were already in the work life and people who wanted to get there to have a dialogue around setting and reaching my goals. And I had just got my degree as coach. So I thought, well, I'm interested to go and share some ideas and talk about stuff with international students. That was the kicker, because that kind of led to more active participation. I actually got to see what really is the offering for the alumni network. And there's a lot of things there. So I'm sure that all of you will go and look at the links that Tina will send you. And you will see that there's a lot of things that you can attend, lots of knowledge that you can get from there. We have also started collaboration on coaching a few years back. So I had a few personal coaching programs for newly graduates. I attended and host a few sessions about coaching leadership. And I'm really thrilled of being with you today, speaking about meaningful work and the path to it. First of all, for many of you, it is congratulations. As Tina was saying, reward yourself for this moment because you made it, or you will make it soon. And it's a moment of celebration for everyone. We often don't think it is. I remember my own story. After 6 months of only the final work to be written and motivation going up and down, and I was like, okay, here's the degree, what do I do with it? But then looking back, I felt I should have celebrated it a bit more than I did. So I urge you to do it. Take some time, be happy for what you have achieved. But then again, what's next on your path? After achieving this important milestone, you will have questions. And some of the questions I had back in the days was, okay, when will I find a job? Maybe some of you are already in a job. Maybe you have already a job lined up for you, but for most it will be when. Will I get what I deserve? Is it really something that is in line with what I studied, in line with all the work, all the hours I put in? And will it be something meaningful? And the word meaningful is important here. It's going to be throughout this presentation. And to understand what meaningful work is, I thought I'd share with you an exercise I do with my coaching clients when they come to me and say, hey, I don't really know how to move after my degree. We do an exercise that is a mapping of what meaningful work could be. And we start by mapping, what are you passionate about? So you just take a paper, you write passionate about, and you start listing stuff that you might be interested into. So for some of you, it might be creative work. Maybe you're good at writing, maybe you're good at producing art. Some of you are into research. I saw from the stats before that a lot of you would like to continue as a researcher. Some of you are good teaching or interacting with others, leading others, while some of you just like Excels. This is the first layer, mapping what you're passionate about. So if you could choose, if you could pick, the first one would be the most important, the last one would be like over my dead body, I'm not gonna do it. Then we go to another level, which is, okay, you are passionate about something, but can you really do that thing? Or is it just a wish for you? And the reality is that in the end, you're good at teaching and producing Excels, but you would like to be a writer and you would like to excel at writing, but right now, not so much. Or you would like to research more, to have more analytical tasks. And right now, that's just not the case. That's the second layer. Again, the first thing is what you really excel at. The last thing is like, I would like to do it, but I'm not really good at it right now. And then there's the third layer. That's the real reality, the raw reality. What's on the market? I go open LinkedIn, I search for creative jobs, I don't find them. But what I will find is a lot of work about controllers, positions, dealing with Excel day in, day out. And don't get me wrong, I love Excels as long as they're not too much. But the reality of the job market might be different from the reality of where do you excel right now and what you are passionate about. So this is the first step. Map your present state. Think what you are passionate about, What do you excel at? What skills do you have to excel? And what do you find? Now, of course, everyone wants to find the golden egg. I don't know if the golden egg is a metaphor, but in other countries, but in Italy it is. And the golden egg is that once you know what you're passionate about, you would also have the skills to do it, and you would find it on the job market, right? So you are a passionate writer, you know how to write, you find a job. That's ideal, right? That's meaningful, you know how to do it, you have a drive to do it. But reality is that that doesn't happen too often. So what are we going to do about it? We have the present, we have the ideal state. We need to move to something that I call state of the will. And it's not a wish, it's a will. So what happens? You start with your same first row, and you know that the last row is still the same, that's the reality. And the second row is unfortunately the situation at hand. So what can you do about it? What I work with my clients on is, how can you amplify your skills to move something that you excel a little bit on one step further? How can you become better at dealing with analytical tasks or dealing with numerical tasks so that you can land a job on the market? And that's not the only option. You can also choose paths where part of your job is something you're passionate about. Or maybe you can go into learning more. I saw some of you want to continue learning. Perhaps you can map your learning to what the market needs right now. Or maybe you want to become an entrepreneur. Maybe the job doesn't exist and you want to craft it for you. The path is never straight. It follows a lot of steps, and sometimes you need to be creative when going there. So you will get the slides, but I ask you to do the same exercise, especially if you are not sure of where to start. The mapping is really easy. You just need to reflect on what are you passionate about, what can you do right now, and then just a quick search to see, okay, how many jobs of this type are there on the market? And then you deep dive. What can you amplify? What can you split? What can you learn? What ideas can you bring to the table? I'd like to bring you more about hic and nunc, Latin terms for here and now. Because when speaking about your path, there's a lot of things that are something you need to act on here and now. So the questions I usually ask is, okay, no matter where the reality is, what can you influence right now? What is under your power to influence and what is not? What do you want the most here and now? That's a really difficult question. I'd like to ask you this question later tonight when we meet for a drink and kind of get your input, because it's a really interesting question. The will, the state of will that we were picturing before is related to this question. And what should happen right now so that you could move one extra step forward? Maybe it's not landing the meaningful job right away. Maybe it's moving one little step towards it. Ask yourself this question to make it practical, to understand really what's the simplest step that can get you closer to where you want to go. I have a quote for you. I like quotes, I like aphorism. And you have heard this in many sources, but I tracked it back to Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. If you guys know The Little Prince, the book, that's the guy. A goal without a plan is just a dream. That's what the guy is saying. And this is just bringing the concept of here and now into action. You need to have a plan in place. It's not enough to say, I want a meaningful job. You need to build yourself a path towards this meaningful job. And the way I like to do it is I tend to imagine how success looks like for me, and then try to build it backwards. So I picture myself in my dream job and I say, how did I get here? What steps did I have to take? What does it look like? What am I doing? What's my day made of? The power of habits. It is a reality that sometimes it's about the small habits of every day. For those of you who will start searching for work, you know you will face situations where you've sent 30 applications and still nobody's calling you. You would like to say, okay, I'll take a pause. It doesn't work. But the power of habits will say, do it consistently. Try again next week with the same 30 applications. It's not enough to just say, okay, I did enough of it. It's about every Monday, do this. Put it in a practical manner. Put some dates on it. Put some time on it. Another thing that is helping you on the path towards meaningful work is picturing the obstacles. There is a technique called mental contrasting, because our brain is really good at looking and finding obstacles. You can really picture the obstacle and train your brain to avoid them. How do you do it? You say, okay, I will send 30 applications, and I know that if I don't get any result, I will get frustrated. You picture the obstacle, frustration, and then you contrast them by saying, when I get frustrated of not having received any call after 30 applications, I will do this. And maybe it's take a walk. Maybe it is I will send 5 more. Maybe it is I will do another plan to bump it up to 40. Your call. But the important thing is that you picture the obstacle and you make a plan to contrast it. And one important thing is also that to catch a train, you need to get to the station. Opportunities are out there, but you need to be there to chase them and to get them. And I think the alumni network plays an important part here from the perspective of networking. As Tina said, there is 51,000 of us, and some of them attend these common events, which usually have these small group activities, which we'll also do today. And in these conversations, you might find connections, you might find opportunities, but you need to get to the station, you need to get to these events for them to work properly. So remember, to catch a train, you need to get to the station. I think now it's time for us to reflect a bit together and split into small groups, because I would like to bring a question to the table and get an answer from you in small groups. After the small groups, if you want, you can share some of the insights that you discussed, and we can have a dialogue around those together. So what's the question? Where are you right now on your path towards meaningful work on a scale from 1 to 10? 1 meaning you don't even know. 10 is I am in my dream job. Meaningful work is what I'm doing right now. I don't need anything else. And as I know that this is a difficult question, I want to also give you some additional questions to kind of fuel the conversation you're going to have. So why did you give that score? What contributed to that 1 or 8 that you had there? And what should happen for you to move +1 from your current score? So the simple little thing you can do to move +1 on that scale.
Yeah, thank you very much. So my name is indeed Kai Nordlund. I'm the Vice-Rector for Education and Digitalization of the University of Helsinki. I'd first of all, of course, like to congratulate you very much on your graduation. This is a big step in life, and I'm not sure what you have studied and where you are going next, but I hope that our university has given you some key values and big items which you will remember for all the future. And I'll mention 3 of these now. One is sustainability. As many of you have encountered in your studies, sustainability is a big topic at our university. We view it in a very all-encompassing manner, changing from all aspects, all topics ranging from sustainable chemistry to sustainable societies and how to build a just society and just world for everybody. And I hope you have encountered this in your studies. If you're interested, you can still study more from our open university courses. We have several MOOCs on the topic available for free to anybody in the world, and you can certainly familiarize us with this very important topic. The other value I'd like to mention is one of our 4 core values, and that is truth. And truth is very important, and in some fields it's not possible to find. For instance, in my own field, physics, we measure very complicated things, and there may not be a single correct value, a single truth to things. But in all fields, what's common at the university is that we should strive towards the best possible understanding, the most reliable knowledge of things, thus going at least towards truth, even if an absolute truth doesn't always exist. And this is in the current world extremely important because as you probably know, there is lots of disinformation going on, some intentionally created, sometimes just unintentionally due to the unfortunate complicated algorithms of social media. And in all of these cases, it's very important to try to get as reliable information as possible and also spread this idea of getting as reliable information as possible to your peers. So not only do it yourself, but with your friends, families who may not have a university education, strive towards this. And the third core function I'd like to mention aptly today is internationalization. That is, as Tina mentioned, I'm in Leiden now at the Europa meeting. We have 11 European universities here striving towards common European teaching, and also with a strong emphasis on collaboration with Africa. And we have been working now a couple of years on this and done quite good progress towards really creating joint international teaching. But in any case, I mean, it's I think it's sort of symbolically good for this event as well, being abroad, being this very international environment. I'm sure that you have already, when you were at the University of Helsinki, were in a sense in an international environment from you. And now I don't know where you are now, but I'm sure most of you will spend time in many different countries during your lifetimes. And this is, I think, really important for us in the world to understand each other, understand different cultures, and then take the best parts of all cultures and integrate those into our lives. Regarding food culture, that has to a very far extent already been done. Even though I'm fully Finnish at home, we very often cook Asian or South American style of foods, for instance. But in other more important matters for life, there is still a way to go to really get the best parts of different cultures all together into one. So yeah, so this is my short greeting to you. So I'd just like to finish that on behalf of our university, the University of Helsinki. We are proud of you and wish you all the best in your lives, and also that some of you continue or return to our university at one point. Thank you.
It's a sort of a speech for you guys, for those of you who have got their degree, and it's intentionally in the future for those of you who will get your degree. So imagine waking up in the morning and feeling happy about your work day ahead. Where are you? What is your first task of the day? Who are you working with? Imagine you spend part of your days in a state of flow when you feel that time is flying and you're fully immersed. What are you working on? Imagine how you feel knowing that the time you spend is spent in the right way, that you are able to balance your work life and private life, and you don't need to make a lot of compromises. Now, take one step back. What did you do to get there? Which challenges did you face? What did you learn along the way? The path towards meaningful work is never a straight one, nor it is a conventional one, like the one your parent or relative took. or your friends thinks you should go for. It is only you who can determine what success looks like on the path towards finding meaningful work, because this path is unique for you. You are the only one who can affect the direction with your daily choices. You are the captain of your ship. And if you cannot control the wind, you can always adjust the sails to get where you want. Sometimes that means taking a longer route or facing waves. Take time to reflect on your purpose. What is your reason to wake up in the morning? It will be your northern star when facing challenges. Time is the most important currency you have. Look for balance in how much time you give and what you get in return. And when you will face the need to compromise, remember that sometimes time wasted can also mean time invested in learning. Whenever I need to start something, I recall a quote. Most of you probably have heard it in many videos, and usually it is spoken by American actor Denzel Washington. And it goes like this: without commitment, you will never start, but without consistency, you will never finish. The path ahead of you demands both commitment and consistency. But if you take one step back, you realize that you did already put both commitment and consistency. That's in your studies. That leads you to this moment of celebration, here, now, or in the future months. I know it's not going to be exactly the same thing when taking the path towards meaningful work. You will have less structure and more choices with many unknowns. But remember, you don't need to be alone on this path. Surround yourself with people that can guide you, support you, people that believe in your potential and your abilities. Also think about what the Helsinki Alumni community can offer you with its activities, knowledge sharing, and most importantly, networking. Remember, 80% of the jobs are not advertised on job boards. You have what it takes to find and unleash your potential, to create a future that is not only successful, but also meaningful. So tonight, it's time to celebrate. Tomorrow, it's time to focus on commitment and consistency and take that small step that will get you closer to where you want to be. So once again, on behalf of the whole Helsinki Alumni community, congratulations, guys, ad majora semper. And thank you for joining us today. I'll give it back to Tina for closing words.
Thank you so much, Roberto, first of all, for the inspiration. Thank you for your participants sharing your thoughts and reflections. Thank you for being here today. And as mentioned, this is your community. This is our community. And this is leading your way to good networking, finding and strengthening your personal skills throughout your life. Being an alumni network member is a path of a lifelong journey.